In this presentation, we will take a look at payroll tax forms after running a plain payroll for one employee to see the effect on the forms W-2 and 941, and then we'll add levels of complexity into our payroll and see the changes as we go within QuickBooks. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are on the home page. We have the open windows open. You can open the open windows, go into the list drop downs and choosing, the view drop down and go into the open windows list. We are now going to take a look at the reports and the forms for payroll. We ran an easy payroll, one employee, nothing special to it. Let's link and see what happens to our reports from that. So we're going to go to reports drop down. We're going to go to the employee and payroll. We're going to go to the payroll summary report. This is kind of the go-to report for payroll within QuickBooks at least. We're going to change the dates from 01/01/18 to 12/31/18. So we've got our one employee. This looks kind of like the pay stub that we would give. And we have the hourly and the hourly pay and the overtime for the gross pay. Then everything that was taken from them, including like we would see in the pay stub, the taxes in essence. And this has given us the net pay. And then we also have the employer taxes, the stuff that we paid over and above as the company, as the employer, over and above the gross pay. The total is, of course, the same because we only have one employee. If we had multiple employees, then the total would differ. So here is our report from that one payroll that we have entered. Let's take a look at what would happen if we were to process the quarterly reports, the 941, and the yearly report just from that one paycheck, the W-2 and W-3. To do that, one way we could do that is go to the employees up top and then scroll down to the payroll tax forms and W-2s. And we can see here we've got the process payroll forms, we got the create the W-2 e-file, and we've got the view tax form history. We're going to go to the process payroll tax forms. We're not actually going to finalize the process here, but we want to see what it does. So we're going to go to the process forms and go through the worksheet that we will be using. Now this of course takes us to the employee center, which we could have started going to, meaning here, employee center. And in the paid version, we're on the far tab over here. This is what we cannot really do on the manual version. We won't be able to process the payroll tax forms. That's what the paid version does for us. That's one of the benefits of having, of course, the paid version. It'll start to generate this so we can see how it's putting it together as we go. So we've got the 941s, the quarterly, the W-2, the W-3. We're going to start here in the 941. Could just click on it, create, or I'll just double click on it, take a look at it. We're going to say that this needs to be into the first quarter. So it's going to be January, February, March, 3 months in a quarter because there's 4 quarters in a year. So it's going to be 03/31/18. That's what we want. 3/31/18, March 31st into the quarter. Okay. And then it's going to process our report. It gives us this little interview worksheet here. I'm not going to go through the worksheet. I'm just going to say next at the bottom and just want to see what it's going to be generating for us. So we can see here, it doesn't look exactly like the form. It might look a little bit different in this worksheet format, but this ties out pretty much exactly to a 941 form. It's for the first quarter here. If we scroll down, we see, okay, here's line 1. We've got the number of employees and we've got the wages and tips. This one doesn't seem to be populating quite right. You would think it'd be 1, but that's okay. We're going to keep that for now. Obviously, the problem is that we had 2 other pay periods that should have been in the payroll period, most likely, that aren't there yet. In any case, we have the wages and tips of the 4,062, and that is going to be straight from the wages and tips that we have entered there. That's going to be both the regular and overtime. Then we've got the line 3, federal income tax withheld. And that is what it is. I can't really tie these two numbers together, remember. Whatever QuickBooks came up with that number, using the tables or whatever they did, it is what it is. We can't double check it really. That's what we took from the paycheck, as opposed to these amounts, which they're going to make us recalculate. So notice this number is the same, which is the taxable Social Security, because nobody's hit the cap yet. This number's double employer and employee portion. So if we compare that to our data input, we would have to add together the employer side that was on the bottom left of our data input and the employee side, you'll recall, and to get that number. And then this number is the same as our wages, as the Medicare wages. And notice these will change as we add complexity, because this FIT could change if we had, say, a 401k plan. It might be decreased, and this one could change if we hit a cap. And so just be aware that they might not always be the same, even though there's some form of wage number. In our simplified method, this is where they start, and they are the same. Then we multiply times 0.029. That's going to be twice the rate for Medicare, for like a single Medicare, so employer and employee portion within the rate, to give us that 117. Then we add those up, we add all of them up, and that's where we basically end up. And we still owe it because we're not paying it in this example. We haven't paid anything yet. So we're just going to say that that is what it is, and the balance is due. So we'll go ahead and close this back out. Now let's take a look at the W-2 and W-3, this form. So I'm back in the Payroll Center forms, W-2 and W-3. See what it looks like. I'm just going to double click on it. And we're going to say all employees for the end of 2018. 2018, just see what happens and say OK. Note it's using the old form yet because 2018 isn't currently here, but this is a test, so we should be okay using these forms. So I'm going to say next on this screen, and we'll see that we have this information here. I'm going to scroll through here. We're not going to go through the interview process. I'm going to go next and see what we have. So this is the W-2. It should look somewhat familiar to what we would see in the W-2 form here. So we've got our information, and then of course here's what we're concentrating on, what's it doing with the numbers. These three numbers are going to be the same for Anthony Moore here. So we've got these three, they're not differentiating between Social Security wages and Medicare wages and FIT wages. And that's because we don't have things that would differentiate them, such as hitting the cap here on the Social Security or the 401k. The federal income tax for that one payroll that we ran is what it is. That's what we withheld. So that's what basically Anthony Moore paid to the IRS so far by us taking it from them, not giving it to Anthony, and giving it to the IRS. And then we've got the Social Security and Medicare. This is what Anthony has paid, just the employee portion. Notice it doesn't tie out to the 941s now because you'd have to double them for that to happen. And then if we scroll back down, we've got the California wages as well, the withholding for SDI, state disability, and then we have the California withheld here. So this looks like the standard W-2 we would expect. If we move forward, I just hit next 2 times to the W-3 form, then you're going to have the same information. We only have the one paycheck. So the W-3 is summing up the W-2. So the major numbers we're looking at here, same wages, same withholdings, federal, Social Security, and Medicare for the one employee that we have. This summing up the data on the W-2s. We only have one paycheck for one employee, so the W-3 will match that in essence for the major income numbers and withholding numbers. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.